Hello everyone, this is Top Tier, back at it again with the second and final part of my deployment adventures. Before we get started, I just gotta mention why other people pay other people to edit their videos. This is very time consuming. This is definitely a skill I want to learn, so be patient, I'm gonna get better, we just gotta wait. Practice makes perfect, I just gotta find time to practice. Before we get in the video, I would like to give a shout out to the aviation chief that told me to go to various spots in Germany. First I'm gonna start off with Munich. Munich was a very beautiful city. Just taking the time to ride scooters and just sightsee around the city. That was a much needed relaxing adventure. Europa Park was pretty dope. To me, it was like a German Six Flags, which is A-okay in my book. Oktoberfest was Oktoberfest. If you know, you know. Overall, exploring around Germany definitely had me acting like a fool at times. But you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta be a tourist and ooh and ah at things. But with that out the way, let's continue. While having no plans to do anything for one of the 3 or 4 day weekends, I was convinced to go to Paris, which you know, I need to get out more, so I didn't mind taking the trip. I had first choice to pick where we had to go, so I said why not go to the Arc de Triomphe. The only reason for me going there was I just wanted to see if it was like John Wick Chapter 4. If y'all seen the movie, it's a little chaotic. It is very chaotic trying to drive in that. I almost crashed a rental, but you know, it was what it was. From there, we saw the Eiffel Tower from a distance. I myself ended up going there taking photos that night just because, but it was more of a morning thing that we had to do since it was getting late. After realizing how close we were to Disney Paris and the crew being indecisive, we had a vote to see if we wanted to go to Disneyland Paris or if we wanted to continue with the Eiffel Tower. And after the vote, we decided to stick with the Eiffel Tower. We tried to get as close as we could to the Eiffel Tower as we could, but parking. If you know, you know. Once we got out the rental, we started oohing and awing at most of the building structures, like how much tourists do. Eventually, we made it to a carnival inside the Louvre Museum. Then we eventually made it to the Eiffel Tower. I'm not sure what it was, but eventually I got to a realization and said to myself, wow, I'm really in Paris, on top of the Eiffel Tower. This is amazing for a little weekend getaway. After taking the much needed photos, once we got down, I paid the bike taxi people to take us back to the parking lot. Since it was only a 3 day or 4 day weekend, we didn't have much time to actually explore other parts of Paris or France as a whole. But for what it was a dope experience. While goofing off in downtown Nuremberg, I was probably shopping or watching one of the locals do something cool. I got a text message saying, "Hey bro, you trying to drink some beer from a millennium ago?" Me obviously intrigued with this statement, I was wondering where he got his source from. Then he told me, "Hey man, Chaplin has another trip, this one's gonna be dope, I recommend you go." He had me at Chaplin trip, I was already down to go. If you know one thing about the trips, you're gonna be educated and you're gonna work out. And this time, I was not ready for the working out part. I'm not sure the actual distance. I was told it might be a 2.5 mile walk, which you know, it's fine. It is what it is. What someone failed to tell me was it's a 2.5 mile walk uphill. From here, this is where we had to go. After making up the hills with no heat strokes, thank goodness, we went to the kiosk, headed inside the building, and we learned some history. Some people tried to learn history from the little brochures. I had to get the little audiobook because I need to get the most bang for my buck for all the walking I was doing. Shortly after, I had to do the touristy thing and started taking selfies and videos of the scenery, which I will say, for some reason, Germany just looks so surreal. If you ever need a reason to go to Germany, do it for the food and do it for the scenery. After chilling this spot for a little while, we decided to run downhill so we could make it to the monastery where the beer was at. I thought we were going to be done exercising for the time being, but we got a little bit closer than we did for the other building. We still had to walk. It wasn't as bad, but we still had to walk. Once we made it to the monastery and were able to get a seat, I was actually quite surprised that they had beer from the year 1050. Starting with the beer from 1050, it was a dark beer. It was a good beer. After realizing how much of a lightweight I was, I tried a few other beers, and I had to tone it down. I definitely felt it on the way back of how much of a lightweight I was. Once I got back to my room, put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I had to sit that one out. To sum up my adventures in Spain, all I wanted to do was just go to the beach mainly. I did see a few museums, but all I really wanted to do was just go to the beach and vibe out. Since it was a 3-day and I was only 2 hours away from the beach that I wanted to go to, I decided to take it, and that's all I did, sit on the beach. I got my toes rubbed while I was at it. For a solo dolo adventure, Berlin was also a nice getaway. Once I got off the train, it was raining, so I tried to speed run to the hotel room. While trying to stride to my room, I did end up going to the Mall of Berlin. There were performers playing music for like 30 minutes. It ranged from, I'd say, elementary schoolers to a few senior citizens. Overall, they did their thing. It was pretty dope. After a bit of shopping, I did end up making it to my space capsule room. This was definitely a unique experience. If you're trying to do solo adventures, space capsules are definitely a way to go. Next day, it was sunny, had to do the touristy thing, and started zigzagging learning history about Berlin. After doing much zigzagging, I noticed a crowd of people standing outside a building. I didn't know how close I was to the Berlin TV tower. Once I bought my ticket, I went up to the observation deck. To sum up my experience, you're learning history while playing I Spy with what they're trying to show you on the little text panels. Some of the buildings on the text panel were very hard to see. Like you might need binoculars or you just need better eyes than I do, because some of them I could not find. And they numbered and showed you where it was. After playing I Spy with myself for a little bit, I decided to get down. It was getting kind of late, so I had to head back to my room, pack up my stuff, and get ready for work. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I didn't take as many trips as I would have liked, but you know, it is what it is. Work always comes first. I highly doubt that this will be the only time I go to Germany, so Germany, be prepared. I'm coming again. Be sure to comment your thoughts, share with your folks, and take care.